focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
So we got another episode of Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo. This is episode 17, and we got the doctor. All right, we got the doctor. We got Dr. Ish Major. This dude has spent over 15 years dealing with men and women all over the world. He's a board-certified psychiatrist who specializes in women, children, families, all things dating, mating, relating, all that good stuff. Dr. Ish was named to the prestigious of America's top psychiatrists for the last 3 years and recognized by the International Association of Healthcare Professionals as one of the leading physicians of the world. As a camera expert, as an on-camera expert, Dr. Ish is a co-host of WeTV's hit series Marriage and Family Boot Camp Reality Stars, and is a frequent guest on the show The Doctors and resident expert on the Today Show. He's appeared with Kourtney Kardashian, Carrie Fisher, Brooke Shields, and brought his expertise to WeTV's X-Isle, where alongside Carmen Electra, they have helped couples break free from past relationships that were holding them back. I mean, he's been in women's magazines, health magazines, Cosmo, More magazine, and Happen magazine on Match.com. Whew. That was a lot, man. You got a resume of resumes, dude.
I've been
cool. You've been busy, man. You've been busy. So tell us, first of all, man, because everybody wants to know, what the heck's the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist,
yes,
man?
Yes, Daniel, that's a really good question. So when folks typically say they're therapists, right, they're typically talking about your psychologist who has a PhD in psychology, right? And for a psychiatrist, you know, the biggest difference is obviously we prescribe medication. And most psychologists don't. Certain states they can, but most don't. And so most psychiatrists are just going to do medication. Your psychologists usually are only going to be able to do therapy. Sometimes there's some crossover. I had one of the unique experiences where I went to med school that trained us to do both. So I got 50-50, half trained in therapy and the other half was trained in medication. So that's the big difference. You know, psychiatrists, we kind of go broad. We need to know a little bit about a lot of things so we can tell you exactly what's going on. And then we typically will refer you to a psychologist so they can go deep and help you correct some of those behaviors that you have going on to make your life better. So that's, and they usually, in a perfect world, we work together.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I love that, man. I love that. So we're going to jump right in. Man, there's so much to talk about with you. I'm like been so excited. We've known each other for about 6-8 months now. And I've been so excited to do this because, I mean, you're just such a smart guy and we want to learn so much today. So tell me some white lies, man, and tell me what that's all about exactly.
So listen, I get accused of breaking bro code all the time when it comes to what are the things guys typically lie about in relationships. And first let me say all guys don't lie, right? That's the biggest misconception, because there's some guys out there who just generally want to make you happy, but you got to get to that person. But I think, Daniel, the biggest lie or the most common lie that guys tell women is the lie that I'm available when we're really not. And that could be because we have someone else in our life or because we're just not emotionally invested. And I think that's the main thing, because we've got one or two other things that are taking priority in our life, whether it's job stuff or family stuff or some kind of personal issue. And it doesn't have anything to do with how not great the woman is or how not fantastic you are, how not beautiful, but it's just, I've got some other things I got to do first. And 9 times out of 10, we don't relay that because, well, we don't want it to get away, or we don't want to disappoint folks. But I think if you're honest, the thing that I tell my guys all the time, dude, just walk in and be honest. You will be amazed at how many women are looking for the exact same thing you're looking for and have the exact same set of circumstances that you have. And so you're coming in equally yoked right off the bat. And so that just makes it go well. But when you're trying to get people to a point where they're making decisions without all the information, now you're starting from a place of lack. And if you start a relationship by withholding the truth, it's going to always end the exact same way. So that's the biggest.
No bueno, man. Starting off the wrong way, man. That's just not the way to do it.
Yeah.
And so tell me, like, tell me about the book, because you have a book, and why did you write it? And like, what possessed you to do this, man? I mean,
well, number one, I grew up in a house with 5 sisters. We had 8 aunts all around. So I was always getting the download after their dates that went really, really well, or after their dates that went really, really horribly. So I would get all that, you know, and they would sit down, and I'm like 6 years old, and they're like, and once you start dating, don't you ever do A, B, and C? I'm like, all right, I just really want to go ride my bike right now. So I got that. And so I was always the kid who, you know, it was me and my dad and my brother were there also. So I did a lot of listening, but I was always the kid who wanted to help folks, right? And so I can remember 8th grade, everybody's outside at recess. I'm in the back of the classroom, and there are about 8 girls around me, and they're all complaining to me about their boyfriend situation. That's just always the thing I did. Got out of school, started my first practice, and it was mostly all women, 80% women, which is the norm, right? Most guys, we don't seek therapy, we don't seek, you know, mental health help. And some of the issues they were having were the depression, the anxiety, everything just, and as we're trying to, you know, we start to peel back the layers of that onion, Daniel, and as we peel back the layers, it occurred to me that all of their issues, or most of their issues, had stemmed from some form of a failed relationship with a very important guy in their life. Whether it was dad, whether it was granddad, whether it was husband, whether it was boyfriend, whether, you know, and some of the things they were falling for, man, it just blew my mind. I would sit there and they would tell me some of these stories, and I'm like, how do you not know what's happening? Perfect example. Had a young lady just graduated college, 22 years old, came in my office 8 o'clock in the morning, washed down in tears. She was a nervous wreck. Hands were literally shaking. And she was like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened to me. My fiance just got back home. He'd been gone all night. He was in a bad car accident. I'm like, well, goodness, tell me about it. How is he doing? She was like, well, he made it home just in time for me to go to work. And his story was, Daniel, that we were living in Jacksonville, Florida at the time, on the beach. His story was, he took her car, he was going out to have a boys' night, and on his way back home, he had a little bit too much to drink, and he ended up hitting a moose on the beach.
On the beach?
Beach moose. Come on. Y'all got
everybody knows about beach mooses. Yeah.
Right?
Beach mooses are very common.
Very common. And he was able to find a 24-hour body shop, and they fixed the car. He spent all the time in the ER, but he...
Because there's a lot of 24-hour body shops out there too. Yeah, of course.
I mean, I passed like 3 of them on the way into the hotel in LA last night. And luckily for her, he was able, you know, the only thing he could think of was just making sure he was home by 7 o'clock so she could get to work and not have to worry about him. And I looked at her and I said, darling, we live on the beach. Do you really think he hit a moose? And she said, no. I was like, okay. So, yeah. And from that, at that point, I was like, and I had so many of these stories from so many different people. I was like, let's put all these down in a book, and let's just use it as a field guide, a tactical guide. If your guy says this, he's lying to you, dog. Okay, and so it's just one of those things. But you know, it's like we believe the thing we want to believe, right? The only thing somebody's got to do is feed into it, and we're like, okay, we'll go with it. You know, but it was
so how many hate letters have you gotten, and how many death threats have you gotten so far in your journey here? You know, so
it's a constant social media stream, every radio show, every TV. That's the first thing. So you're breaking bro code, huh? Yeah,
that's it. You just decided to do it, you know. So look, I mean, what did your parents do growing up? I mean, how did they, you know, push you up?
Everybody's got a story, right? And so grew up in a very small town in South Carolina, near Charleston, near Beaufort. Actually, the name of the town is actually called Yemassee. We probably had about 1,500 people. 1,000 of those were all animals. And so just not a lot of folks around. My dad, man, dropped out of school in the 6th grade to sharecrop with his dad for $7 a week. My mom never went to school, graduated high school. She wanted to go to college. I found out maybe a few years before she died. She finally shared with me that she actually wanted to go to college to be a nurse. I didn't know any of this until I was an adult, but they always pushed us. 7 kids, very, very humble beginnings, very meager means, but the thing we had in the house was a bazillion watts of love. And they always pushed us. You're going to go to school and you're going to get your education, and don't even think about stopping at high school, And if we walked through that door with a B+, you would have thought it was the end of the world. They were like, and I never knew why it was such a big deal to them until later on, but their thing was, my dad was, I can remember talks with him at 5 years old, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs, you can get out there and be anything you want to be, right? And my mom's thing was just love. She just loved everybody. She just wanted to help the world. And so I think between the two of those, they always pushed me to do something more, to know that this thing is bigger than just you and what you want and what you need. When you got a gift and you got to give it to the world, and you don't let anything hold you back. It doesn't matter that you're from Yemassee. You need to get out there and do it. And so that was my first push, for sure.
Great story. I mean, great parents. So they were. So now, aside from your parents, did you have like an original mentor in your life, like somebody that really helped you a lot?
I didn't get that until later on. I would say my biggest hero was my dad, man. He just, the fact that I could just sit back and watch how hard he tried at stuff, never gave up. I had as you become an adult and they get older, you can have some really interesting conversations, man to man or man to woman with your parents. And I had a conversation with him once, and I was like, I looked at him and I thanked him because he worked in Hilton Head, very, very lush resort kind of area. He built houses over there. He was a carpenter, okay? Hour and a half away from where we lived. He would get up 5 o'clock every morning, drive an hour and a half, do the thing, come back, another hour and a half on the road. So, 6:30, 7 o'clock, he's getting back at night. And I told him, I said, man, I was like, I never told you this, but I would be amazed that you kept coming home and that you kept getting up 5 o'clock every morning. I was like, so I want to thank you for that. So that work ethic, I would, and so that continued all the way throughout my life, man. I was all, I was a smart kid, but I wasn't like always the smartest kid in the room, right? But I knew that if I could get in the room, I could outwork anybody else in the room.
See, that's a cool point that you made, because especially in my type of business, or just really anybody. I mean, we're talking. I mean, today you're talking to a lot of business owners and small business owners, and so sometimes they feel guilty.
Yeah,
doctor, they feel guilty that they're working too hard sometimes, and they're out late at night. And they're pushing themselves to become the best that they can be. And it's just a constant every day they're pushing. And for you to say what you just said is exactly what I've been telling people for so long. Because look at you today. I mean, obviously you're a doctor today. You've become very, very successful in your field. You've inspired just, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And so I just think it's awesome for you to say that you thanked your dad. Cause I've been telling people forever, one day my kids will thank me that I worked so hard, and you did that, so that's awesome. Going. That's awesome, man.
Keep going. And it's, the thing, and I'm a newly minted business owner myself. I just opened a detox clinic a couple years ago, and we're looking at opening the second one in January. And so it's the thing. You've got a bigger purpose. You've got a bigger why, and it's going to take a sacrifice. And the folks who are with you, the folks who love you, the folks who you're doing it for, they will understand. They will understand. And if you got the right people around you, it won't be an issue. They'll push you. And this as a business owner yourself, it's all about budgeting your time. You can't be all show and no go on the other end. It's, you've got to budget that time, but you've got to have, when we get back to the relationship part, you've got to have these conversations, right?
Right.
You've got to sit down with your partner and say, I say it's a 3,000-minute checkup. Remember back in the day when our cars, every 3,000 miles, we had to get oil changes. Now it's like never.
Yeah.
And so every 3,000 minutes is about every 2.5 days. You need to sit down face to face with your partner. Phones are off. Tech is off, TV's off, kids are somewhere else doing their thing, and you check in with each other. Hey, I know I worked 100 hours last week. I want to know how you're doing. And then I want to know how we're doing.
Love that.
And then you move forward, you know?
I love that. So the 3,000 minute, did you say 3,000 or 2,000?
3,000 minute checkup.
3,000 minutes
2.5 days.
I love
Don't go any longer than that. Look eye to eye. It can be over dinner, but not the quick morning conversation before you're out the door. Just a real honest to goodness 5 minutes is all it takes. And we're just connected. And you're just letting each other know, hey, I'm still here and I'm still trying to make you happy. Let me know what I can do.
Well, when you're talking about conversations, the first thing that came into my mind, because I look back and me and my wife, Karma, we've been together for 27 years now.
Whoa.
And so 27. Yeah. She's, Karma's always, on my shoulder there, man. I'm always thinking about Karma. If I do this, it's coming back. If I do this, it's coming back. So I always got to check myself before I wreck myself, and so what's amazing is that what the first vision and visual that I got in my mind was the fact that at 21 years old, we were sitting in my little Nissan Sentra.
I remember those.
And it was after a meeting that we went to, a business meeting that we went to, and it was tough. We were young. We started off in business very, very young, and so she had this thought that white picket fence, my boyfriend is going to be home every day and he's going to be there for me, and he's going to, we're going to have fun every day. And all of a sudden I got this itch to be in business and want to change my life. Yeah. And the next thing I know is I'm out every night. I'm not seeing her. I'm going. And I was getting results and I was working hard and I was really making progress. But we had this conversation that we call it the battle. That was the Battle Royale, man. Yeah. I mean, we were in the car and I told her, I said, look, we had been together like 5 years at that point. Okay. And I said, look, I said, you're either with me or you're against me. And I don't know if this was the right thing to do or whatever, but I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that, but I drew the line in the sand. Yeah. And I said, you're either, because look, I don't want to spend the rest of my life with somebody that doesn't want to win with me. Right. And do you find that? Do you see that happening a lot where, I mean, there's so much, because people are going in different directions and that causes so much strife. Tell us about that.
So I think when you say either you're with me or you're against me, typically ultimatums typically don't end well, but it wasn't an ultimatum. That's not what you were given. What you were asking her was, do you believe in me? Right. Right.
That's exactly what it was. Yep.
That was, and it sounds like that's the question she heard. She got that question. And it sounds like 27 years later, the answer was a resounding yes. Do you believe that I'm the guy who can get out here and get this done? Do you believe I'm the guy who's going to grind it out every day and come back home to you and only you every night? Do you believe that we're on this journey together? Right. And if that answer is yes, you got something, man. But
and I think, and she said, doctor, she said that she's really selfish. So she said, look, man, I've invested 5 years in this dude.
All right. Good.
And I'm telling you, I'm not gonna allow him to go become successful without me.
Good for
her. Because she did believe in me. Yeah. There was a little smidge. Yes. Now, she actually was very nervous because I've always been a dreamer and I always had my head in the clouds. I always wanted to invent something. I mean, I thought I was gonna be rich somehow.
That scares people who want the white.
It does.
Right?
It does.
And the folks who want the stuff they see on TV, the dreamers scare them to death because there's no guarantee. There's no
certainty.
That's
it.
Yeah. But the payoff.
That's it.
Right.
And she said, hell no, man, I'm not leaving because, and so I tell everybody today, I mean, she's happy she stayed every time she swipes that unlimited American Express card.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
She is happy.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at your view right now. So my guess is when she wakes up in the morning and she sees those beautiful palm trees and the sun gleaming down, it's like, you know what? That was a great conversation. I think I'm going to go buy a Nissan Sentra and just sit it. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. We'll just put it over there and just have
Yeah.
it. We could have our 3-minute, checkup in the Nissan Sentra over there.
But you bring up a very good
Yeah.
point. A lot of couples don't like to have hard conversations.
Right.
Right? And you guys were able to, at 50 years old, at 40 years old, you guys were able to have that in your early 20s, man. So that's a special conversation. And it's a talk about belief. Hey, I love you. Not only do I love you, I believe in you. I believe that you're the guy who can do the things you say you want to do. And you looked at her and said, listen, I believe in you. And when you get that, man, you're unstoppable.
That's it. I mean, and so, I mean, have you had any like mistakes that you made in relationships? I mean,
mistakes? What? Me?
I'm just saying, you're the doctor, so we all want to know, like, what's your biggest mistake you've made? Man?
I'll tell you what, man. I've gotten to the point, Daniel, I know now that there are no mistakes, but wow, there are sure some disappointments, and there are some things that hurt. We teach the thing we need the most. And that's certainly true with me. My first big heartbreak, while you were in your early 20s having that belief conversation, I had fallen head over heels in love with a girl from back home, man. And I talk about it all the time. Her name was Nikki. Beautiful. The sun didn't shine in the morning until she got up. Okay. And whenever she yawned, the heavens just stretched. It was that kind of thing, and she was from a legendary family of just beautiful women. It's like everybody in that family was like, oh my God. And so we dated for a little while, and I'm a freshman, junior, sophomore, junior in college, and I'm like, this is it, right? I'm in school. I'm going to get the job. I'm going to get the girl, and this is just how my life is going to be. How amazing is that? Our older brothers and sisters had dated. Her mom and my mom were best friends. So in my mind, this is the thing, right? We're doing this. And I'll never forget, one Saturday morning, I came home from school. I worked my way through college at a restaurant. And I'm coming in, and my mom walks into my room, and she was like, she sits down on the bed, which was unusual. I was like, uh-oh. And she puts her hand on my shoulder. She was like, hey, gotta tell you something. Nikki's getting married. And my world just changed, dude. I didn't come out of that room for another 2 weeks, right? And it's like the whole thing, you're always the last to know. And, it totally came out of nowhere. And a month later, my Nikki had moved to Tennessee and she was married. And I had no, it was like, what does this mean? Why? And I asked the horrible questions and I got the horrible answers.
Right.
What did I do wrong? Why was I not enough? Right. For that whole thing. Luckily for me, I was able to get a thing that a lot of folks don't get. And that is some love and support all along the way, but I was able to get some closure. She made a rash decision. She married a guy on a whim. 3 months later, she was back home and we were having a hard conversation. And she was like, I'm sorry for the thing that I did. I'm sorry for how everything turned out. And before we had that talk, man, I had some really smart parents. And my mom sat me down and she said, son, I know how much you love hard. And I know how much you love Nikki. She was like, but at the end of the day, it's not always about the love that you have for her. She was like, I'm glad I raised my boys to treat their women well. She was like, but it's not about the love, all about the love you have from her. At some point, it's got to be about the love they have for you. And I took that mentality into the conversation that we had. And I was like, darling, I love you to death. I always will. I was like, but I deserve a little better than that. And we were able to part as friends. She went on to marry and have an amazingly beautiful family. We lost her about 10 years ago to cancer. But it was a short life, but it was a very full life for her. And from that experience, boom, man, I've been all about relationships ever since. And so it's no mistakes, right? No mistakes.
Well, we are on the Wealth on the Beach podcast right now with the incredible Dr. Ish Major. Wow, what a powerful conversation. I didn't even realize, man, we're like 30 minutes in right now. And I'm like, the time is just blown by.
Yeah.
man, I hope I get to everything. I'm sorry for keeping you a little bit over, but
No,
look, people, you know, people are asking right now, because you deal
Yeah.
with a lot of celebrities, man.
Yes. Yes.
Why are all these celebrities getting divorced all the time, man? Like, what's up with that, dude?
It's hard. Listen, it is.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard for everybody, man. No matter how well you do a thing right, the relationships are always going to take work. And because here's one of the big reasons why: we can never control that other person. And when, you know, you've been married for 27 years, you know how hard this thing is to keep on track, right? You've got to, the things you've got to decide together to keep out of your relationship, the things you've got to decide together, what we're going to let into this relationship. So it comes to our celebrities, man. They're notorious for having no filter, right? But when it comes to your relationship, that's going to end you in front of a divorce court very soon, because you've got to know what to keep out and what to keep in. And with social media, it's a 24/7 thing. Whatever you share, a bazillion people are going to comment on it. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're not doing. And with a lot of the celebrities I work with, I see them fall into the trap of believing that what they think is more important than what me and my partner know and believe and feel. And once you cross that line, it's only a matter of time, dude. So they got big personalities, they've got big money, they've got a big life, big emotions, big hurt, big pain. So it's a lot to stuff back down in that box. It's a lot. It's hard.
So that's kind of, I mean, and so then we look at the divorce rate in America right now, and it's what, 50%. And so what's up with that, man? I mean, why? I mean, because, you know, not everybody in America has all those. I mean, I can understand with celebrities, it might be a little bit over the top, and they're just overly dramatic anyways. I mean, you get a bunch of actors and actresses and, you know, people with big money. I mean, you get big drama and big egos and stuff like that. But for the rest of America, man, what's up with that? You know what?
It's the same thing on a smaller scale. We all struggle with those same issues. We all struggle with trust. We all struggle with feeling significant, you know, being made to feel like we're special from our partner, and being able to know that we're meeting our partner's needs and wants and making them feel special, right? We all struggle with that connection. We all, man, Dan, you know how it is. You know, from the time we can read a magazine or watch a TV commercial, we are bombarded with things that tell us who we are isn't enough. I'm not tall enough. Or I'm not good looking enough. My clothes aren't cool enough. My car's not nice enough. I don't live in the right. And so I don't care how much money you have, how gorgeous you are. We've all got that thing. And that's the common thread, whether you're a celebrity or non-celebrity, whether you're a millionaire or whether you're a thousandaire. We've all got that human thing of just trying to feel like we're enough. And, you know, what I've found that if you can make people feel two things, if you can make your partner feel like they're special, and you can make your partner feel like, hey, you know, no, I need you, and this is what I need you for. If you can communicate those two things to your partner, you can be together for a very long time. But life gets in the way.
I believe that. And I've been telling people for years that when I did what I did, I was doing it not for the world.
Yeah.
But I was doing it for my family.
Yes.
I was doing it for you know, when, I mean, I get on stage in front of 50,000 people and you hear the crowd, you know, go wild. Yeah. And that there's nothing like that. It feels amazing, but nothing feels as good as your partner when you get home at night and you close that sale, or you got that new recruit, or you just tried for your partner to look you in the eye genuinely and to say, you're a stud.
Yes.
You're amazing.
Yes.
You're so special.
Yes.
You are such an incredible person that you're giving everything to your family, that you're trying to, like, I see that you're trying so hard. Yes, you're not getting the results right now. Yes, we're not millionaires yet. Yes, we haven't made it yet. But man, I see that you're trying. I see that you're on your way, and I believe in you more than anybody in the world. Imagine if you got home and somebody talked to you like that, how awesome your relationship could be.
And you're a world beater, because tomorrow you're going to walk out that door and you're going to try even harder.
Right.
But when that doesn't happen, for your business owners and myself included, when that doesn't happen, The things, you know, it's not about the things we tell each other. Most of the time, it's about the things we don't say, because we're all listening to hear that thing. And so when you have that conversation after a long day and you don't get that cheer, you don't get that rah-rah, you don't get that person pumping you up, now the person who's out there really trying, gunning and going for it, now we have that little guilt inside, right?
Right,
and
right,
that
right.
guilt, if you're a business owner, that guilt that you take into the next day is going to make you try just a little less harder, because you feel like you're shirking your responsibilities as a partner, as a husband, as a wife, as a dad, as a family member, as a friend. And so you're going to feel like, well, I'm going to cut, and it's a subconscious thing. I'm going to scale back 5% today, and I'm not going to make that last phone call because I really just need to get home and do this and run this other area. You gotta both be on the same page, man.
You hit it, man. You hit it on the head. That right there alone for this entire podcast could be right there, help save so many relationships and put them on track, man. Hey, women lie too?
Of course, not that I've ever seen. So the studies,
because we beat up on guys today. We did beat up on guys a little bit.
We beat up on guys all the time. Average person will tell anywhere from 6 to 22 lies per day. Women lie studies show women lie just as much, if not more. Studies also show women just don't get caught because they're much better at it, because they actually think through the thing. Guys, we're notoriously poor planners, right? Spontaneous.
I love it. You have a memorable, marriage boot camp story you want to tell us, man? Tell us about something.
Oh my goodness, man! I tell you, so many stories, the biggest thing that struck me when I first started working with the celebrity couples was just the amount of emotion that they bring. The amount of emotion that they bring. And, some of our bachelor couples, some of our, more famous couples, we had Pauly D and Aubrey on this last season. And they walk into the house and they're these two beautiful people. And you're like, yes, they should be together. They're going to have amazing kids. But once they're in the room together, you're like, oh, wait, what's happening here? And so they had this fight. Well, they had this long discussion. Let me rephrase. Aubrey talked to him about 2.5 hours nonstop one night, and he sat there and he just listened. And as he's doing that, we're watching everything on cameras, and I could see whatever love he came in the house with her left. 6 o'clock that next morning, he calls an Uber. We're in the middle of Beverly Hills. We're like a mile up in the hills. He drags 3 bags down 2 football fields to get back to the road to meet his Uber, and he hightails it to a hotel. We don't know where he is, right? I'm on the phone. I'm like, Pauly, can you just stay long enough for me to get to the house and come talk to you? Luckily for us, he picked the exact same hotel that Judge Toller stays in when she's on the show. And as she's walking out to come to set, Pauly's walking in.
Wow.
She calls me. She's like, you'll never guess who I just saw. And so I hightailed over to the hotel, and we have a really heart-to-heart conversation. And it was one of those things, a lot of the successes I have with couples on the show and off the show isn't necessarily about the people I help stay together. It's about the ones who I help leave apart successfully. Because you're never going to find the love that you deserve until you learn the right way to let go of the one you don't. And that was his thing. He felt guilty. She wasn't a bad person. There was nothing she did wrong. He just knew he wasn't in love with her like the way he needed to be. He didn't know how to say that. So I said, I was like, Paul, your pattern, dude, is that you run. Things get emotional and you run. You're 40 years old. You've never had a relationship in your life longer than 6 months. That's not normal, okay? So if you can't come back and be there for her, you need to come back and be there for you, or you need to come back to be there for the future Mrs. Pauly D, whoever that is. And so that was one of the more memorable moments, just because he made a huge shift that day. And it was like, yeah, you know what? I do need to turn the page on that guy, and I do need to learn how to stick it out. And, and when my feet are getting held to the fire, how to have those hard conversations. Because would you rather stay in a relationship for 10 years and it be lukewarm and, you always question? Or would you rather cut ties today, do the hard thing, rip the Band-Aid off, and then you're both free to go be happy? Your Mr. or Mrs. Right is out there looking for you, but they can't find you because your head is stuck up somebody else's butt who you don't need to be, right?
Right. Hey, how important is, like when you think about like self-talk and the way that you talk to yourself, how important is that for people to really think about every day?
That's everything.
Yeah.
Because it's a think, feel, do. The thing you think influences how you feel about yourself and how you feel about the world. And depending on that emotional state you're in, that determines the action you're going to take. If you need to make a sale, right? You need to make a cold call, but you're like, oh man, I don't really have the best voice and I'm not really a good conversationalist. So those are the things you're thinking. So now you're going to feel less confident when you pick up the phone to make that call. And now the action you're going to take is you're going to be, hello, this is Mr. Smith, and I have, you're done. And so self-talk is everything. And I like to start my mornings, I don't know about you, but I like to start my mornings with a little gratefulness exercise. And I don't roll out of bed until I think of 10 things that I am supremely grateful for and thankful for that day. And it doesn't have to be big things. So some days it's like, you know what? I'm breathing, right? And that's enough because I can get out and get this thing done. But think, feel, do. The things you think about yourself influence how you feel about yourself and about the world. And that's everything. And so you got to correct that. Got to.
All right, man. Couple last little quick questions.
Yep.
How do we better communicate through those tough times? What's a couple of maybe just little tips when we're having that argument? How do we kind of get through that, communicate through that better?
Yeah. One big thing is you've got to know how to press pause. When the other person is talking, you press pause and you actively listen. Like you're doing to me now. You're leaning in, you're shaking your head, you're interested in what this person has to say. Those are those nonverbal cues that let you know, okay, they're hearing me, right? A lot of times, Daniel, in relationships, we're not going to resolve it that night, that day, that week, that month, maybe ever. And we don't need to. We just need to make sure that we hear each other. And at that point, now you say, okay, so what I heard you say was, and you repeat the exact same thing they just said back to you. That's a huge thing. And the other thing is just honesty, right? It saves everybody so much time. Because we both know, we both have a feeling, we both hear, we feel like this thing is going on, but we're circling around the truth. And so the thing that needs to get said isn't getting said. And so we're really just wasting each other's time. Honestly, the person who's there for you, they're going to appreciate that. And then they're going to give you some honest information back. And now you can make an informed decision. Communication, it's just an exchange of useful information. And if we're not talking truth, then we're not giving each other any useful information. We're not moving that ball forward. So yeah, just press pause, hear what the other person's saying. You're not thinking about your response. You're not formulating your answer. You don't have your shield up waiting for them to say something hurtful. You're taking it in. It's useful information. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. That's where the conversation starts. And it's not a one-time conversation. It's going to be an ongoing dialogue. We're going to have this talk over and over again.
So there's a lot of strong women out there, especially business women. I mean, our company now is 54% women now.
Wow.
Okay, so women. So tell me, for a strong, independent, motivated woman, what are some of the things that they need to process and really think about as they maybe even find a mate? How they communicate with their husband as they're kind of leading the charge in their business or whatever. Tell me what your thoughts about that is.
The biggest thing I see with women, what I would tell you is do not water yourself down. You are strong, you are smart, you are independent, you are running things, and that's just who you are. You don't need to show up and be any different. You don't need to go from a 10 to an 8. You don't need to scale it back from in any way, shape, or form, because that's not your authentic self, right? And the guy who's for you, the guy who's going to be with you, if he can only deal with the scaled down version of you, then you got nothing. Because there's only so long you're going to be able to live that scaled down life and not be your full-throated self. And so he needs to know that from day one. You walk in and you set the expectation. Hey, dude, listen, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking for. Can you meet my asking price or not? I need this many calls a week, this many texts a week, this many dates a week, these types of conversations. This is what I got going on in my life. Here's how I'm looking to fit you into that. Are you going to meet the asking price or not? It's a simple conversation, right?
Love that.
Don't scale yourself back, because the guy who's there for you, there is nothing, absolutely, positively nothing you're going to tell him on that first date that's going to scare him out the door.
Right.
You're going to come in and you're going to give him all of who you are, and he's going to say, oh my God, I got to get me some more of that. And now you got something, right?
Love that. Love that. Hey, thank you so much, Mr. Dr.
Yes, sir.
Major, man.
Yes,
This is incredible. I mean, the 3,000-minute checkup, man. 2.5 days. Come on, man. Get with your partner every few days. Make sure you're seeing eye to eye, man. Think, feel, do. Actively listen to the one you love. Be honest, man. Come on, be your authentic self. You know, it's not always easy. It's hard. Things are hard, man. And life is hard. Well, that's why you got to grow up and be a man, be a woman, and take on the challenge in life. You know, you can't control the other person. No. It's pretty interesting. 6 to 22 lies a day. I never knew that one. But the truth is that, relationships hard. They're not easy. But the truth is when you find that right one, when you find that where you can be who you want to be, you can grow how you want to grow, when you can expand to that level that God made you. To me, it's all over, man. That's the beauty. That's the definition of a wonderful, incredible relationship in life. And we're so lucky to have you, man. Tell us how we can connect with your life and how we can build a relationship with you.
Absolutely, man. I'm everywhere, man. Easiest place to find me is just online, drishmajor.com. I'm all over Twitter, Dr. Ish Major. I'm all over the gram, as the kids say these days. Instagram. Got a lot of cool Facebook, a very free Facebook group going on that you can sign up for there. And rolling out in January a huge membership program where, you're going to be able to get me every single week. The things I give my celebrities, the things I give my private clients, you're going to be able to get me there. So stay tuned for that announcement as well. Yeah, it's a lot happening.
Love it. I think that's awesome, man. I want you guys to know that, please share this podcast. So many people need to hear this message today. Follow me on Instagram. We are still signing up people every day. We have a Wealth on the Beach Club every week. People join me. And I give them a half an hour lesson. I do a half an hour Q&A every single week. Check out our website, alonzoacademy.com, for more details. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tons of valuable free content on there. And as always, I want to remind you guys to dream bigger than ever, but make sure that you do it now. God bless you. We'll see you at the top.